Today we're going to look at A Christmas Carol Stave 4, the bit where it gets serious for Scrooge, and the bit where we meet the most frightening ghost, the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Now, we find out that this ghost is very spooky, shrouded in a deep black garment, concealing its head, face, form. It scatters gloom and mystery. It has a mysterious presence, and it's generally just a terrifying thing. The ghost is Grim Reaper-like in appearance, so it's like the classic vision of death. And this represents how the one thing yet to come for all of us is death. So linking into Fred's comment in Stave 1, which I'm sure you'll remember, that the poor are just fellow passengers to the grave, that we all share this common end, but we can change the life that we're living now. The ghost never speaks, it just points forward with its outstretched hand, demonstrating that there is no going back and that our movement towards death is relentless. And Scrooge is absolutely terrified of it, as we will find out. So as usual, I don't want to disappoint, so I've come in role as the ghost of Christmas yet to come, wearing this nice mask and snood combo, which I just happen to have lying around. So let's have a little look at what happens. First thing is that Scrooge is petrified of this ghost. As the description of the ghost shows, it's an intimidating figure. It has an air of mystery. It sucks the life out of everything around it. It seems to have a chill surrounding it. A bit like a Dementor, but not that we're saying J.K. Rowling ripped it off or anything. Never mind. So the first thing is it goes forward in time, and he goes to the place where he works on Exchange, which is known as Change. So the centre of the money area of London. And he sees a group of businessmen who he knows talking. And they're saying things such as, I thought he'd never die. It's likely to be a very cheap funeral, for upon my life I don't know of anybody to go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer. Someone else says, I don't mind going if lunch is provided. So he sees these people talking about a dead person and a funeral as if they don't care at all. Now, Scrooge is a bit thick at this point, and he has not understood that the person they're talking about is him. So he's saying to himself, I wonder what the significance of this is. Well, I'm sure the ghost will make it all clear. So he just carries on following the ghost and wondering what's going on, which is a little bit stupid, but never mind. He sees a few more people having a conversation. I think there's a point at which someone says, did you hear old Scratch is dead? The other one goes, yes, cold today, isn't it? Really just moving the conversation on because no one cares that this person is dead. Then they go to a particularly unpleasant part of London. It's described as the ways were foul and narrow, the shops and houses wretched, the people half naked, drunken, slipshod, ugly. Alleys and archways, like so many cesspools, disgorged their offences of smell and dirt and life upon the straggling streets, and the whole quarter reeked with crime, with filth and misery. So it's the worst possible description of a part of London. And what Scrooge is about to discover is that this is where all his possessions, all the things that he worked so hard for and that he prized above all else, have ended up. So they go into this room where there's basically a kind of a pawnbroker, or a person that buys tat for money and sells it on. And three people meet there. They're described as the charwoman, the laundress, and the undertaker's man. And these are the three people who have been into the room where Scrooge's body was since he died. Now, the charwoman is the cleaning lady. The laundress does obviously the laundry, and the undertaker's man would have prepared the body for death. Not for bed, obviously. So these are three people who should have had a little bit of respect. And in actual fact, what they've done is taken his possessions, stolen them so that they can sell them on. One of them justifies it by saying, well, who's the worse for the loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose. As if it doesn't matter that since he's dead, none of this counts. It's a little message on the theme of you can't take it with you, that you work all your life for these things, but actually when you die, you don't have it anymore. So it's quite a hard-hitting way of getting that message across to Scrooge. One of them has taken down the curtains off his bed, and Joe, who's the person who's buying these things, says, you don't mean to say you took them down, rings and all, with him lying there? So even the scum of London, even this man who lives off other people's rubbish, is appalled by what's happened here. They've also taken the shirt off him that he was due to be buried in. And said, calico is good enough for that. So they've gone to the dead body and removed his best shirt so that they could sell it for themselves. So partly showing how desperate life was in London at that time, and partly a strong message to Scrooge about the significance of his ownership. And he has a bit of a moment. The narrator says, avarice, hard-dealing, griping cares, they have brought him to a rich end, truly. Now, still, Scrooge thinks this, but he doesn't understand that it's himself. He thinks it's somebody else. He's very upset by what he sees about this man's death, and he says to the ghost, if there is any person in the town who feels emotion caused by this man's death, show that person to me, spirit, I beseech you. So what the spirit does is he takes him to see a young couple who have borrowed money off Scrooge and who are desperate and who can't pay it back, and the husband has gone to see what they can do about it. And he comes back and the wife says, you know, what's happened? Has he relented? And it says, he is past relenting, said her husband. He is dead. So the only emotion that anybody showed was happiness that he was dead, because it would mean that they didn't have to pay back the money. The quote is, yes, soften it as they would, their hearts were lighter. So they were genuinely made more happy, made more contented by the death of this person. Scrooge begs the spirit, he says, can you show me some emotion or some tenderness connected to a death? So the spirit takes him to the Cratchit's house where Tiny Tim has died, as was foretold by the ghost of Christmas Present, who said, if things remain unchanged, I see an empty chair and a crutch in the corner. And it's a really tender scene in which Bob returns home, having been to church on the Sunday, and he's very sad, and he's chosen the spot where Tiny Tim's going to be buried. And he makes a little speech to his family, and he says, but however and whenever we part from one another, I am sure we shall none of us forget poor Tiny Tim, shall we, or this first parting that there was amongst us. So it's in sharp contrast to the way that people feel about Scrooge. And remember, all the way through, Bob Cratchit is the opposite of Scrooge. Bob Cratchit is the one with love but no money. Scrooge has money but no love. And ultimately, the tenderness in the Cratchit household, Tiny Tim, that he will never be forgotten. He says, none of us shall forget poor Tiny Tim. Well, Scrooge is forgotten already. All they're worried about is his money and who he's left it to and what's going to happen next. So he's desperate to know who this person is, and he begs the spirit, and the spirit takes him to a phantom, they call it. The phantom takes him to a graveyard, and he points out the words on the gravestone, his own name, Ebenezer Scrooge. And he begs and begs and begs to be given another chance. He shouts, I will honour Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Oh, tell me I may sponge away the writing on the stone. And in his desperation, he grabs hold of the spirit. The spirit throws him off and Scrooge falls to the floor. And in that moment, what was the spirit collapses, and in its place is his bedpost, and he finds himself back in his bed.